It is a truth universally acknowledged that a man in possession of a great fortune must be in want of a wife. And in the case of Mr. Bingley, one can hardly think otherwise. What news I have! Oh, where are Mr. Bennet and the girls? Mrs. Bennet, as you can see, is beside herself. Mr. Bennet! What a settlement it would be for one of her girls to be married to a man of £4,000 or £5,000 a year. Mr. Bennet! No doubt every single woman in the county will be vying for Mr. Bingley's attentions. With 2 single nieces to my own, perhaps it was imprudent to alert Mrs. Bennet. Ah! Mr. Bennet! Mrs. Bennet? My dear Mr. Bennet, have you not heard? Netherfield Park is let at last. I've heard. You obviously want to tell me, and I have no objection to hearing it. Well then, it is let to... Oh, girls! Girls, I have just heard it from Mrs. Lorne that Netherfield Park has been let to a man named Bingley, a single gentleman of great fortune. £4,000 or £5,000 a year! Oh, what a fine thing for our girls, Mr. Bennet! Really? And how might this affect our girls? Do not be so tiresome, Mr. Bennet. You must know that I am thinking of his marrying one of them. Is that his design in settling here? Design? Nonsense! How can you talk so? But it is very likely that he may fall in love with one of them, and therefore you must visit him at once. I see no occasion for that. You and the girls may go, or you may send them by themselves, which perhaps will be better, for you are as handsome as any of them, and Mr. Bingley might like you best of the party. My dear, you flatter me. I certainly have had my share of beauty, but do not pretend to be anything extraordinary now. Oh, but you must indeed go see Mr. Bingley. You must consider your daughters. Only think what an establishment it would be for one of them. Sir William Lucas and Lady Lucas have already called upon Mr. Bingley. Is that so? Oh, you must go, for it will be impossible for us to visit him if you do not. You are over-scrupulous, surely. I dare say Mr. Bingley will be very glad to see you. Tell him he may marry whichever he chooses of the girls, though do throw in a good word for my Lizzie. I shall do no such thing. Lizzie is not a bit better than the others. I'm sure she is not half as handsome as Jane, nor half so good-humoured as Lydia. But you are always giving her preference. They have none of them much to recommend them. They are silly and ignorant like other girls. But Lizzie has something more of a quickness than her sisters. Mr. Bennet, how can you abuse your own children in such a way? You do take delight in vexing me. You have no compassion on my poor nerves. You mistake me, my dear. I have high respect for your nerves. They are my old friends. I have heard you mention them with consideration these last 24 years. You do not know what I suffer. But I hope you will get over it and live to see many young men of 4,000 a year come into the neighbourhood. It will not matter if 20 such a come, since you will not visit them. Depend upon it, my dear, that when there are 20, I'll visit them all. I'll be in my library,